Okay, so let's start. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, actually. So welcome to Connecting the Dots, a series of webinars organized by Domus Academy Career Service with our former students that are now design professionals. I leave the stage to Paolo Lorini, our teacher and design consultant, that will lead the session with Nikhil Paul. And thank you very much and enjoy the session.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Giuseppa. And welcome, everybody. You're now almost 50 people connected from all over the world. I'm happy to see lots of students and lots of friends of Domus. So this cycle of webinars starts today, begins today. The title of this cycle is Connecting the Dots. While we were putting together, we were trying to define a title for these webinars. We thought of this message of connecting the dots. And for us, it has a double meaning. Somehow, we want to connect, all of us are dots of a network. And more than ever, thanks to, due to the COVID-19 situation, we have the opportunity to connect very easily from all over the world and at an instantaneous speed in order to share thoughts and opinions and listen to each other. That has become trivially easy in the last few months. At the same time, connecting the dots for us means going back in history of the Domus Academy and try and find talented students who joined Domus Academy a few years ago, and now they are become successful designers, entrepreneurs, visionaries, consultants in several different parts of the world, and try to connect all the dots of their paths. So trace back to the experience of Domus Academy, and then understand why it was valuable for them and how that meaningful experience has helped them to build all the steps, all the dots of their careers. Today, we have Nikhil Paul, product designer. Nikhil is the creative head of New Delhi-based Paul Matter Studio. He has won a lot of awards and accolades in product design. His first collection of lights, establishing it as one of the world's premier lighting designers, and was featured in the book of 100 Objects of Desire. Paul's work has been showcased at numerous exhibitions around the world and has been featured in leading publications and magazines. He lives and works in New Delhi, and he earned a bachelor in design and a master's program in business design from Domus back in 2017. He is well known among the alumni community because in 2017, 3 years ago, he won its Best Alumnus Award, and his work has covered since many fields ranging from the design of small objects such as toys and jewelry to furniture, interior arrangements, craftsmanship, and up to the industrial scale. So welcome, and join me welcoming Nikhil. Thank you for being with us, Nikhil.
Hi, Paolo. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the generous introduction, Paolo. Very kind of you.
It's actually the reality, and we are very proud that someone who joined Domus a few years ago now has been moving forward in his career like you and has achieved a lot of success and has been able to carve a little bit of an original path to what design is for you. So today, as I anticipated, we will try to reconnect all the dots of your path, of this path of yours. And I will start by asking you and to go back to that moment when you decided to join Domus Academy, or maybe even before then. So what did you study before Domus Academy? I understand product design, but maybe there is a reason for that. And how was your study and professional life before Domus?
Um, well, I studied product design, and right after my graduation, I started working in the corporate sector. I was working with a watch company called Timex. It's an American watch company,
Well known.
and yeah, yeah. And post that, I decided to quit Timex, and I decided to work in the craft sector, because as you all know, India is really rich in its handicrafts, and so I decided to work with a lot of craftsmen in craft projects, and
Hmm.
I started traveling all around and working with different craft clusters. Um, yeah, it was after a few years that I decided to study my master's, and then started the whole process of selecting what school to go to, what university to join, what country to choose, which is it's a very confusing time, to
Yeah.
decide that. So yeah, so that's how it happened, and
Okay. So what made you decide in the end to enroll to Domus, to select Domus, and spend 1 year of your life here in Milan? Why? Why that? Why that school? Why our school?
I think Domus was very famous in India. There are a lot of people who in the past had gone to Domus. Some of my faculties who taught me in graduation. So that was one reason. Secondly, while I was deciding what school to go to or what course to do, what masters to pursue, at that time, I was working with the craft clusters, and my role as a designer was completely changing. It wasn't only about designing products, but it was more to do with, I think, systems. Um there was a sort of a design intervention that was needed in system design, in
Okay.
branding these craft clusters. And that's when I decided to pursue not masters in design, but something else, something more strategic, something more system oriented, something more branding oriented. And and there were very few schools who had something like this to offer. I think with Domus, I had applied for another university. It was Dezeen in Germany, which was offering masters in strategic management in design. And yeah, out of the two schools, then I ended up choosing Italy for its for legacy. So
Okay.
yeah.
So also maybe the fact that it was in Italy played a role in your decision.
Oh,
What
definitely.
what
Big
is
time.
your opinion of Milan and of Italy when you think of the history of design? And I mean, since from because we live here, we have a clear idea what that means for all of us. But seeing from someone who comes from country, can you tell us what were at the moment the 3 or 4 points that made you think about Italy as being a country to go?
I mean, so like you obviously have you've heard about Italy, you've heard about the great brands that come out of Italy, the great designers, the legends. Um, but after coming to Italy, actually, I discovered that Italians are very open people. I mean, they like to share, you know, and overshare rather sometimes. And that was a very good thing. You feel welcome. So I think it lived up to my expectations. You get to learn a lot. They're open to sharing. There's immense exposure. They're not people like Italians are not like who are going to keep something a secret
Yeah.
or show off at a superficial surface level. They actually really want to share. So that was really nice, and one can really like grab a lot of wisdom, knowledge, experience, everything from Italy.
Yeah, Yeah. So what you discovered when you got here, you discovered, I mean, it was up to your expectations. Was the Domus experience as you expected, or did it surprise you in any way? I mean, can you talk about what you did where you were when you were here, and which were maybe some courses of workshops that you still remember to date, and why they were so meaningful to you?
See, like initially, I think it was a little bit of a cultural shock. I mean, Domus brings in uh, people from all over the world. It's like the United Nations of design. It brings in people from all across the world. It brings in people from all disciplines together, and at Domus, you get to sort of exchange this information with different disciplines, which is really nice. I think that's what design has to offer. It's really easy in design to sort of go with the flow, jump from one discipline to another discipline. You can do that, and I think Domus allows you to do that. I think initially, to be very honest, it was a bit of a shock. I was because Domus is a very sort of close knit community. It's a very small school, or it was. I don't know about it now, but it was really sort of close knit. I think there were 2 floors, and it was a bit of a shock because when you're in India and you're thinking about a university abroad, you think amazing things. You think
Yeah,
huge campus and all of that, and mostly people out here go and study MBA or something like that.
you are referring back to
So,
this moment of your life, right? That we see
oh
now on the
yeah,
screen.
yeah. I mean, we were always partying, huh? We were always like, I tried to find a serious picture, like I was telling you before,
Yeah.
of us working or something like that. And my friend was helping me with that because I'm very bad at, storing memories.
Okay.
And we didn't find any. We just found pictures, drinking, eating, jumping around, partying really. Yeah.
which is
So
which
this
is
was,
which is very good in any way. So you are
oh
this
yeah,
guy, and you are
I'm that guy. Yeah.
this guy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Back
So
row.
I so I see you on the left picture. I mean, outdoors. I imagine
Right.
that is a convivial moment, like an aperitif or an happy hour or anything. But
Yeah.
Domus organizes lots of corporate visits, company visits. Did you have the chance to join any of them? Is there anything that comes to your mind when you think back of the companies or the institutions that you visited back then?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of them, I mean, that we got to visit. I think a lot of companies came to Domus,
Hmm.
um, uh, like for talks and seminars, and they brought in a lot of like a presentation with them and a lot of wisdom with them. But we also got to like visit these companies. And I remember the first, I think it was the second week of us in Milan when we were taken to Rome with
Yeah.
interior design students for the Made in Italy workshop. So it was our first. It was our first workshop, and it was called Made in Italy. And we went to
Yeah.
the. I think it's called Palazzo Civita. I've written it somewhere.
Hmm.
But it was a museum in Rome that we were working for, and we had to sort of decide what companies should enter this museum. And this museum was supposed to be called Made in Italy Museum.
Okay.
I think this place is now the headquarters for Fendi.
I
Um,
see.
yeah, it's a square building with a lot of columns, and yeah, so I remember this clearly, and it was a riot. It was amazing to visit Rome in the second week of of your joining the school. So yeah, it was really nice. And then we got to do case studies for all these Italian companies like Ferrari, like Barilla, Fendi, Armani, and all these guys. And so yeah, so this made in Italy model is something that I remember and will always remember.
I see. Fantastic. And another point that maybe you want to talk about is the people you met at Domus Academy. Fabio is saying Palazzo della Civiltà Italiana. That probably is the name of the
Right,
building you are
right.
referring to. Thank you, Fabio. Thank you, Fabio, for joining us, and also
Ciao,
for
Fabio.
for and also for suggesting the right name of the
Is that
institute.
is that Fabio November?
Actually, it's Fabio Siddu, very close
Okay.
to Fabio Novembre. Is the
Okay.
director of the entire school. So
Okay. All
we're
right.
very honored to have you with us, Fabio. Thanks so much for joining. And as we see you here in these pictures, we see that you are with a lot of friends. So who did you meet while at Domus who is still important to you in 2020? I mean, more than 13 years later.
So
You can
you
name.
see all these guys, I mean, they're so important, and there is like there's India there. There's somebody from Hong Kong, somebody from Taiwan, from Sudan, from America, from Colombia. Uh, there's somebody from Singapore, from Italy, from all across the world, from France, and yeah, I mean, this was the treasure, out there. And we're still in touch, all of us, and everyone actually is really well accomplished and doing great things. I know one of my friends is the design director of Hong Kong Design Center, and one of them is probably teaching now in Japan, and has done several PhDs. So yeah, I mean, these guys, I mean, yeah, was great, and because of Domus, we could all meet. Besides that, there were so many people from, who were really well accomplished designers at that time, and still are, and who visited us. Fabio Novembre was one of them, and I still like clearly remember his energy and his enthusiasm when he was talking about his work and projects, and you're in awe of these people when they're coming and sharing their experiences,
Yeah.
and so open about it. So yeah, so that was really nice.
So you basically are saying that you're entering a sort of community that then uh, keeps you inside the community for the entire career, goes on and on and on. And that's
Oh
one
yeah.
important value of the school, probably, which is more than just a school, is a community of people who share a sort of mindset, who have some common backgrounds. I mean, who have some very different backgrounds, but have one point in their lifetime where they gather all together in a place which is special to them, and they live some experiences together.
Definitely, not only Domus, but also Milan. Milan as a city is sort of so small, and so you can navigate it, and so social. And Milan is a city where everyone is coming from different places.
Yeah,
I think you find very few limited local Milanese people, and so it becomes important for them to socialize with each other. So I think the entire, like, Milan also in itself is a nice little community, and I'm still in touch with people I might have you know had an aperitif with outside Domus.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah. I think one of
excellent.
them is a gallerist for me. Like, he manages our works.
Fantastic. We will come to that in a moment. And yeah, what did you do after Domus? How did your career evolve?
Well, after Domus, I sort of went with the flow. I mean, I just wanted to stay in Italy, in Milan for a long time, and I started working with Giulio. Um,
Giulio Ceppi,
Giulio,
Total
Giulio
Tools.
Ceppi, Giulio Ceppi Total Tool,
I
who
invited him
had.
actually, as you know, he's from my same hometown. So
I
I, I,
hope
I
he's
I
not here.
know
Hi, Giulio, if you're here.
I notified him the other day that he would be like the protagonist of this interesting webinar. I don't see him unless he's under a fake name because he's very smart guy.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. So Julio had me over, and I worked with Julio for a bit.
Yeah,
Um, After at Total Tool. After that, I worked
several
with.
or
Sorry.
months. I don't remember. For several years or several months. What
No,
was
I was with Julio. I was with Total Tool for about 8 months, I think.
8 months?
8 months. And then I started working with the research center of the Koka University
Oh wow.
on a project that was becoming a company, a full-fledged company, and they had me over, and yeah, so I was working with them, I was collaborating with them.
Okay.
And
Okay.
after that, one day I decided to move back to India.
Why? You didn't like Italy anymore?
No, of course I love Italy. I miss Italy. I think at that time I was getting a little anxious. Like I was getting a little fidgety. I think like I was a little bored. Like everything was a little monotonous back then, and everyone was talking about BRIC.
Yeah.
Brazil, Russia, India, China.
Yeah.
India was the place to be where things are growing. I wanted to start something of my own. Um, and I think that itch took me back to India, to Delhi. Yeah.
Excellent. Where you opened your studio, right?
I opened my studio, and we ran the studio for about 3 years, and which was more like a consultancy of sorts, and it is when like we moved to another studio space, and we started designing lights for that space,
Yeah.
light fixtures,
Yeah.
and then yeah, the rest is history. Then Paul Matter came about.
Okay. So tell us about this idea of establishing your own company because it's not always happening like this. So you had a design studio first, and then you were happy probably with what you did, but then you decided to make it evolve or transform it into a company, right? Maybe leveraging all your understanding of how to run a business that you were able to learn through your Domus Academy experience, but also at the same time mixing it with the local culture. Is that right?
True, like I said, I had worked with a lot of craftsmen earlier, and I
Yeah.
think I always subconsciously wanted to get back to that, and it was just happening again and again, ever more so often, and so this was a very organic move, and I think people in media and architects, interior designers sort of helped me with that move.
Mm-hmm.
When we started when we released our first collection, it wasn't so much of a release. It was just sharing the work with somebody,
Yeah.
and it got published, and we started receiving orders on that. So we had to move really quickly. It
Mm-hmm.
turned into a small workshop, like an
Mm-hmm.
atelier, and we started making pieces.
I see.
And yeah,
I see.
so this was the
Let me
first.
just let me just show you this one. Maybe you can. When I read your presentation, okay. First of all, the title, actually, the name of your company is Paul Metter. I think
Right.
the name somehow encapsulates the vision of your company. Can you tell us why you decided to call it Paul Metter and why matter is so important to you?
I don't like to answer this question because
Oh,
I
sorry.
never know what to say. But Paul comes from my name,
Yeah,
and
of course.
matter because I mean, essentially, so it's light, no? So it's something that you cannot see, yet it conveys a lot, and it's in the truest form, you know. Um, so I think matter just automatically sort of comes together, and it sounds good. So yeah.
Yeah. Works for me, and I think it resonates with a lot of us. I think it has multiple meanings. Uh,
It
so
has multiple meanings.
it's also materials. Probably
It's also
materials
materials.
are very important, right?
Yes, true. Like, so I think initially, I wanted to get back to the truest form of craft that was practiced some time back. What's been happening in India is that, I mean, more and more people are turning their workshops into sweatshops. There is this fast process of turning certain materials into certain finishes,
Yeah.
painting, covering metals with something to look like something else. And I think I wanted to avoid that. I wanted to use the truest form of material. And that's also, you're right, that's also one of the reasons why matter came into the being. So everything is natural here. Everything is aged old techniques that have been practicing, that these artisans have been practicing since centuries. These are century-old techniques that we work on, and the material is kept in the truest form. We avoid lacquer or anything like that, like covering the surface. And yeah.
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand. And also maybe a third meaning could be adding an S, Paul matters, right? Meaning Paul or your work is important for India, maybe. That's not something that you
Maybe.
want to maybe say because you don't like to drag about your work. But the other week when we were talking about your experience, you were also mentioning that, in your opinion, it would have been important to give more dignity to the craftsmen over there, and to do so and connect them with a more international kind of public and audience.
True. That's yeah. That's always been partly an ambition, like an aim behind this sort of process to present made in India uh,
Yeah.
at a global scale, and present the value of it, um, which is the craftsmanship. Um, because I think more and more companies from abroad manufacture here pieces, and 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 nobody knows. I mean, so many French so many French brands actually, get their embroideries done here at ateliers, and it's amazing craftsmanship, but it's not presented like that. And this is something that I wanted to do uh, through Paul Matter.
Yeah. So kind of combine the quality and the history of the craftsmanship of the Indian people with an authentic identity of your culture and of your country, instead of inheriting the culture of others and using just the craftsmanship ability of your people to build the other things.
True, like not just be at the back end, just be at
Yeah.
the forefront out there. Um,
Okay. And
yeah,
you
so
were
that was
successful at that because your work has been featured in many publications, has won awards, and also you were selected by some brands, globally well known, like Aesop, as we see here, to become part of their branded environments, like this one, which is a retail store in Seoul.
I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. I did not believe it when I received this email. Like I think it was the initial when we had initially launched, not even launched, like I told you the story, and we'd
Yeah.
received this email, and we did not like sort of respond to this email because I thought it's fake, but yeah, I mean the piece really. but the
spam email.
pieces are there. Yes.
Okay, okay. And how did it work out? Okay, let me just give you a bit more context for this question. In the audience, the attendees of this webinar are of different types. We have for sure students that are now enrolled to Domus Academy and that want to know what they can expect when they're out of the school. We, of course, have alumni who maybe you know, and they're here to say hello to you and to see how their old friend has been moving forward in his career. But we also have prospect students. So students that have expressed their interest in the school and that might want to start to enroll later this year or early next year. So to them, it could be interesting to understand how you were able to make things happen, basically, and connect all the dots. I know you mentioned you did it very organically. It all happened naturally, but most of our students want to know, are very curious about how they can make it happen for their own career, for their own life. So can you walk us through this experience, for example, of working, coming up with your own brand and maybe getting some invitation from a brand like Aesop, and then what did you have to do? How did you deal with the relationship? Because the relationship with a brand is a very specific skill that we also need to develop as designers.
You know, a brand like Aesop, they're very sure of what they're looking for, you know. And once they sort of, I feel like once they sort of choose or decide who to go with, I think they really cherish their relationships. And I think this is something that I've learned over the past few years. You're right, you know, I mean, setting up these relationships is very important with uh, different companies and different clients and uh, and and yeah, so I mean, it just happens really again like organically, you know, like if somebody is expecting something out of you, I think it just goes sort of with passion, you know. I mean, there is like you really want to imagine your product over there and be a part of their vision and sort of just be very honest with them if something looks good, if something doesn't look good, if something will materialize in their space or not. And I think it's just that in the end, and it works, I
I
guess.
see, I see, I see, I see. Very interesting. Uh, so when I read what you write on your website, paulmetter.com, about the values and about the philosophy of your collection, I was very pleased to find some keywords that are resonating with me. Some of let me go through them for you. Timelessness. So you want your products to be out of time or maybe beyond fashion, which is, I guess, one important thing. And then sculptural form, inherent function and materials that refine with age, and then finished and assembled by hand.
Hmm.
So do you have a project in mind which kind of encapsulates all of these values in a very specific and meaningful way for you?
Sorry, Paolo, what is the question?
Yeah, if you can tell us, if you can walk us through one of your projects that
Okay.
encapsulates maybe more than the others all of these values that are important for you.
Right. I think all projects, all products that we've taken up so far, like you know, it's really as a designer, you know, I mean, it's really or you're really curious about new materials and to be able to use those materials like plastics and resin and everything.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to sort of resist, you know.
Yeah.
But 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 we've sort of like we sort of decided when we started the studio to work with natural materials, with age-old techniques, and yet be able to innovate that. Um, I think the latest project that we did, I think it's called Monoliths. Yeah, there it is. So Monoliths started with an exploration in paper, then was translated into FRP, and later on it was developed into metal. And so Monolith essentially is it takes its inspiration from lingam, which is a sort of a religious stupa that you can find all across Southeast Asia, and um, and so this was the symbol, which is very essentially deeply rooted in culture,
Yeah.
that we took forward, and Wallpaper got in touch with us and wanted to introduce this as part of the Wallpaper Handmade in 2019. But the catch was to work with a Belgium manufacturer in stone
Yeah.
and sort of reinterpret this sort of design, and then we took up stone and we worked with this amazing atelier in Belgium called Van den Weg,
Yeah.
and develop this piece over there. So what's nice about this is that the piece is still in its rawest form and the most natural form that is available, which is Carrara
Yeah.
and the marble, and
Yeah.
yet it sort of introduces a new technology, which is the touch technology.
Yeah.
So I mean, it sort of bridges the gap between something that is so ancient and something that is so new, and sort of weaves the entire story together, because when you actually visit temples to
Yeah.
visit the lingam, which is a stupa, you actually
Yeah.
touch it for
Okay.
blessings or whatever, and we were able to translate that with this new technology that Van den Weg sort of let us
Mm-hmm.
borrow. So,
I
so
see.
yeah, and then this was developed in natural materials, in natural finishes, in metal, in brass, in silver. We've actually made this piece in terracotta as well with a master craftsman in India. Um, yeah,
I
and
see. I see. I
hopefully
see.
we'll see more materials later.
Very, very interesting. So, in this kind of project, you were able to combine all the values that we were talking about, like timelessness, and the quality of material, the craftsman, as well with kind of coming up with a new behavior. Like you kind of use the lamp by touching it, which is a new behavior, but at the same time, it's an old behavior because that's what people used to do with these religious symbol, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
True.
see.
I
I
mean,
see.
I never saw it that way, but yeah, I guess.
So it's like a
it,
combination of a very pristine Indian culture and religious gesture with the new technology at the
Mhm.
same time with an Italian material, which is the Carrara marble, which is only available in Italy in its purest form. So you kind of combine three different cultures at least with this project.
Right, right.
Excellent, excellent. Um, um, how do you run Paul Matter today? Can you talk us about I mean, how many people work with you, and what is your role, what is their role, how many different places you have, what are the connections that you were able to establish with the suppliers and partners over there. So what are the behind the scenes interesting topics that you can share with us about running a company today in India, a design company that wants to be recognized at an international level?
I think so. I think we still function like a studio, essentially, or I like to believe that. So we have a small studio with 5 designers, and there is always research and development going on. We're always introducing newer materials, or at least working on it. Our new products is, I mean, we don't really follow a sort of pattern as such, but we introduce at least 2 new products every year that are also classic. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing about making classic products, is that they are not going to go out of style or trend, or that's not a worry. Nobody's following a trend here. Um, but there is a constant research and development that's going on with newer technologies, etc., with new materials. And then we have a small atelier where we carry out our production, which is
Okay.
dedicated to us, um, with these really talented craftsmen. When we develop a new product, it's made inside the studio. We make it ourselves, and then it's taken over there, and then we see whether production can be taken forward with this new product, or some changes have to be made. We literally live with each prototype for about 6 months.
Okay.
Looking at it, iterations, editing it. Editing is a big part of our design process. And
Can
then
you
we
elaborate
have,
on that? I think that's a very interesting point. So no product is born perfect, right? That's what you mean. You need to keep on reviewing it and perfect it. Can you
oh
tell a
yeah,
little bit
oh yeah.
about
I've,
that?
I've, I've tried really, like, okay, this is not perfect. Let's delay it. Let's delay it. Let's delay it. But it can never be perfect. So,
Yeah.
I mean, eventually you have to release it, and then you can carry on making iterations later on, bit by bit. Sometimes the heights go up, and you get to learn a lot when you start interacting with the outer world, when you
Yeah.
start interacting with your clients, with your customers, with the galleries. You learn a lot, and that's how you sort of still keep making slight changes to your product to
Innovations.
see whether yeah, improvement. Like, there's always scope for improvement. So, and that's a huge part of the process as well.
Yeah, I
Very
see.
integral part.
Let me ask you one more thing about the process. Do you find yourself coming up with ideas for new products within your workshop and within your studio, and then experimenting and then bringing it from an idea to a concept to a prototype until it becomes a product that you can sell? Or do you also accept, let's say, commissions, I mean, invitations from an architecture studio and or maybe some private clients to design a product that is a site specific? So how is it? What do you like most? To start from the product and then see it live within the interior environment, or maybe start with the environment and interior and then create a lamp or a lighting fixture that goes well with that site.
I think, Paolo, it can work both ways, and sometimes when a client gives you a brief, you can come up with a product just for them,
Yeah.
and later on decide to take it forward. However, like, since our sort of company studio is young, we haven't taken that practice yet.
Okay.
We have, I mean, we did that with Wallpaper, this collaboration, and we've collaborated with another artist who's based in India
Yeah.
in the past. So collaborations are really nice, whether you're collaborating with an architect, an interior designer, an artist, or a craftsman. There's always this exchange of knowledge, and you bring in something new to the studio, so that should always be encouraged. But yeah, but we have sort of, like, till now we have sort of developed pieces within the studio and then taken them out there
I
um,
see. I
as
see.
a practice.
Okay. Okay.
Mostly because it's a young company. That's it.
Yeah. But you're open to like having someone calling you and trying to do the project together, which is site specific. That's maybe it's going to happen also because you got a lot of exposure in the press. That was another very important step in your career. So how were you able to gain this exposure in the press? These, I mean, magazines wanting to show your work.
I think they've been kind, really.
Maybe you are good. That's one of the reasons they wanted to show your stuff, no?
I think they're kind.
So luck is a very important part. Luck and being kind to others so that they can be kind to you. It's also probably a part of the story, right?
Karma. Yeah, I
Karma,
guess.
karma, karma, karma. We have a question from Namit Khanna. He's writing to us. Thanks for first of all, Namit, for your question. He's writing, "Hello, Nikhil. I wanted to ask you about how you really started. How did you get your first project? How did you find potential customers, and how did your journey transcend?"
Wow,
So
Namit.
probably he's
That's just
asking something very specific. So can you share with us how, I mean, the experience of your first project?
um, hi, Namit. I think again, like I'll go back to that. It was completely organic. Uh, we launched our first collection. We started receiving. I think there was a publication that happened, followed by inquiries and orders, and we immediately jumped into it, literally, and we developed these pieces and like we discussed, Paolo,
Oh,
2 minutes back, it's you learn throughout your process. Like you manufacture, there are problems, you deal with them, and you put it out there. And if there's a problem, you you improve them.
yeah, you're talking
And
about this lamp. This was
yeah,
your
I'm
first
talking
one.
about yeah. I'm talking about these
Hmm,
pieces.
hmm. Okay, okay. And your first clients were private clients for their homes.
First clients were private clients for their homes.
Okay, okay, okay. Fantastic. And well, I have another question for you, which probably you expect. It's a COVID-19 related question. So today, of course,
Of
as
course.
everybody knows, we live in an unprecedented situation. Reach of, let me just switch this one for you so that we can see your face again. Reach of very tough challenges that at the same time can be transformed into new opportunities if you want. So how did you and your company deal with this situation the past 3 months? And especially, what is your perspective looking forward? So which are the scenarios that, in your opinion, will be more likely to happen? And how do you think you can position yourself in those scenarios looking forward?
I think to start this answer, I mean, firstly, I feel COVID is absolutely stupid. It's so annoying,
Yeah,
and it was completely unnecessary. Um, but yeah, like I feel things have to change.
we lost you. Hello, Nikhil.
Yeah.
Now seems you're back. Yes,
Can you hear me now?
yes, yes,
I'm sorry
yes.
about that.
No
So
problem.
I feel one cannot avoid it. An organization cannot avoid it. Things will have to change.
Yeah,
So far, what we have been doing is we have been working remotely, um, in different parts of the country, if I may.
hmm,
Um, and we are working on the same projects as we were. We were developing new products for the studio, and we are still developing those new products. Like I said, there's a research and development always going on. And while somebody is in the hills and working with bamboo, that's a new
yeah,
material that we have been exploring.
yeah.
I had abundant leather here with me, so I'm working with leather. That's another material that we wanted to introduce to the portfolio. Um, there is another designer who's working with metal, with sheet metal, and developing the same form. So we're exploring different materials. So this is what we've been doing past 2 months.
Yeah.
And I think soon, once things get normal, we'll actually be realizing these pieces. So it's exciting that way. But moving forward, I think things will have to change. Our studio will have to evolve. I think local, supplying local or procuring local materials, working with local materials is going to be very important for studios and companies in the future. Um, and there is a way that this needs to happen.
Yeah.
Uh, I think our clients are all across the world, and for us to do something like that is sort of scary, you know. For me, talking about producing local and supplying local is a little scary because you know, the pieces go all across the world, and that's the beauty of it. That's the charm of it.
Yeah.
That was the point why we started this company, you know.
Yeah.
And so that will have to evolve, and we'll have to find out new ways to manufacture, to produce, to collaborate with different ateliers across the world. We'll have to find newer ways to exchange this sort of knowledge. From an artisan sitting in India, uh, we'll have to exchange this knowledge with a foreman sitting in Italy, for instance.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and this needs to happen more. Instead of just procuring skill, I think this exchange needs to happen. I sort of
Yeah.
developed a scheme, a very
Yeah.
rough scheme, yeah, um, in which it's a very rough scheme, and it's sort of squished. But like, for example, PM is the studio, and you know, P1, P2, P3, P4 are products, and
Yeah.
how they can be developed in X, Y, Z ateliers
Yeah.
that are situated all across the world.
Yeah.
And then these ateliers directly supply to the countries that are surrounded, you know,
Okay. So the
that
products do
are
not
close
come
by.
back to you. Do not come back to you. They go from the atelier to the country.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
And that's what happens also, you know. I mean, things are just not transparent. Things are just not like practiced that way. Sometimes, like, they are. It's. I mean, I think being local is very important right now. You
We
know.
lost you. No, we lost the last sentence. I mean,
Am I there?
yes, you were saying, I mean,
I mean, I feel like being local is really important, and this is what it means to be local. You know.
yeah,
Identifying skilled ateliers in different countries and materials that are local to them, and developing products
yeah,
to cater
yeah,
to those markets is sort of interesting, and an interesting way to move forward.
yeah,
Of course, this is a rough scheme, and you know, I mean,
sure.
one has to sort of
So
evolve
it's
as per times.
local culture and skills, but global reach,
Right.
if you want.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Okay, then thanks so much, Nikhil. I think we need to end this conversation, mainly because of the battery of your laptop. We don't want you to run out of battery. Thanks everybody for following our webinar. It was a pleasure really to listen to you, and what you shared with us was really inspiring for all the audience. Um, Before I say goodbye, I just want to remind everybody that we have another workshop coming up. That's going to be on June 8th at 5 p.m. Central Europe Summer Time with another very well-known alumnus, Rodrigo Torres, who has his own design studio and collaborates with lots of companies around the world in Italy. I will still interview him, and do not forget to join in and to register and join and be with us on that day. Again, thanks a lot, Nikhil. Thanks a lot to everybody. It was a
Thank you,
pleasure
Paul.
to
It
spend
was fun
time
chatting.
together, and I hope you have great opportunities moving forward.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.